No, guys, the title of this video: neglect that muscle group and your whole physique will suffer. And can you guess what it is? I neglected it for over a decade, and trust me, now I'm paying for it and I'm regretting it a lot. Guess what muscle group it is? I'll give you a few seconds. It's one that a lot of people skip. It's not calves. It's one that a lot of people skip. It's your abs, your core, your abdominal muscles. A lot of time we skip them, and all we do is we finish that workout and we say we'll do 3 sets of leg raises at the end, and a lot of time we skip them and we neglect them so much. It's a muscle group just like any other, and we give them so little attention. Unless you're a guy that's trying to look good for the beach a few weeks before, you'll start doing a lot of crunches. But in reality, if you're in a gym, bro, and you're focusing on getting big, getting jacked, building big muscles and lifting big weight, doing your abs, it's the last thing of your priority list, right? Because we don't care about it. If you're a gym bro like me that just cared about getting big, I never cared about having a six-pack. I cared about always being jacked and looking big in my shirt. So I'm like, I have a little bit of a belly, but I don't care because I look big, I look jacked, and I look intimidating. That was my goal when I was a kid. So I'm like, doing a six-pack, I look like those Abercrombie and Fitch models, which look skinny and weak for me. So I neglected my abs. I never did them. Never. Like for the first 5 years, I wasn't even doing any crunch whatsoever. All right. And I paid for it. I'll tell you how I paid for it, but I did pay for it. First thing first, you gotta understand that your abs and core is the center. It's really the center of your body. Think about it. Your core is the center of your body. It's what keeps everything stable, what keeps everything stable so you don't fall off with your glutes and your lower back. So imagine neglecting that center of gravity, the center of your body. You're neglecting it. What's gonna happen? It's gonna translate with weakness on your overhead press, weakness on your squats, weakness on your deadlift, weakness on your bench. And I know you might say, well, I'm bracing my core when I'm doing my squats, so I'm working my core. No, I used to say that, but bracing, it's not the same as actively working and training and stimulating those abdominals muscles. It's just not the same thing and won't do the same thing. Doing the planks won't get you the same results as doing the leg raise and the crunches and the spine, bending of the spine. I didn't want to believe it because I was lazy and I hate the burn of abs, but that's just the reality. I'm paying for it. I'll tell you a few examples. First thing first, it translates with weakness in your bench press, yes. In your overhead press, yes. In your squats, in your deadlifts, because now you're not able to your body works as a whole, especially on those compound lifts. And imagine you doing a overhead press, but you're not really able to engage those abs well. You might say bracing. Bracing is basically keeping that air in your core and tightening it and pushing that air out while maintaining your breath. Doesn't really do much for the muscles. Doesn't really stimulate them. It keeps them tight. But if the muscles are not strong, it won't do much. You gotta make sure that the muscles are also strong. You gotta make sure that what you're bracing is a strong core, all right? So now it's gonna translate in a weaker bench press. You'll feel a plateau on your bench press. You feel like you're not benching as much or squatting as much just because your abs are weak, because your abs are breaking, because your abs are giving up, because it's the center of your body. And if the center is weak, everything will fall down. Imagine a building and the middle, imagine a 20 floor building and the floor 8 or 9 are super weak. What's gonna happen? The building will just collapse. All right, I mean, it's just an analogy. So that's number one, is your core core weakness will translate into a weakness in your big compound lifts. That is the first thing. And number two, lower back injury. If your abs are weak, your lower back will compensate. And once your lower back starts compensating, trust me, it's just a spiral, downward spiral, because now you get that lower back injury like I had doing a deadlift a year and a half ago, and it took me so long to recover from it. And when you have that sciatic nerve pinching and the sciatic nerve injured, it's not a fun place to be. It was the hardest injury for me, mentally and physically. Imagine you're not even able to walk. Why? Because your core is so weak that your back is compensating on every single thing you do. Your back is always overworked because your core is weak. Your abs are weak because you never trained them. You thought that it's just about the six-pack, but no. it's about also preventing your injuries and protecting your lower back. And this means lower risk of injury when you're doing the compound lifts, the squats, the deadlift, and all those exercises, the overhead press, because now your core is taking over. You're stable, you're aligned because your core is strong. If your core is weak and it's loose and it's breaking, you will have that little kind of lower back extension and you'll just end up messing it big time. All right, so that's number 2. Super important. Number 3, if you're like me and you want to compete, look at my abs. We can't see them. Why? Because I neglected them so much. I want to talk about genetics and say, well, it's because of my genetics, but no. Let's stop giving genetics all the excuses and let's stop blaming everything on genetics. It's just because I haven't trained them as hard. I've trained my biceps super hard. My biceps looks good. Maybe I don't have the best genetics, but look at my abs. I don't have the 6-pack abs, I just don't. And it's because I neglected them. It's not because of genetics, it's because I neglected them. That's just the reality. Some people are genetically blessed with abs, yes. I'm not gonna take that away. But the people that are not, and they don't have their abs and they're lean, I'm 10% body fat. How come I don't have abs? Because my abs are weak and my abs aren't as developed. That's the simple reality. And now I have to overtrain them, kinda, because I'm competing. And the other day I couldn't even flex them. I went to do posing with my coach and he's like, squeeze your abs. And I'm like, I can't even do it. I don't even have that mind muscle connection with my abs. He was able to kinda, some people can isolate each ab, each side, and squeeze each side on its own. Can you imagine? It's pretty crazy. But that's what you need. It's just like any other muscle. So if you don't know how to really connect with those muscles, it's because you haven't trained them properly and they're weak. So if you're thinking about competing eventually, well, get on those abs trainings. And it's not just about doing the plank or bracing. That's just laziness. You gotta do your crunches and you gotta do your leg raise. Those are 2 things that are okay. So the crunch, the leg raise, and any kind of a twist, because you want your spine to get used to twisting. So you want to do something like a Russian twist or like heel taps or anything that kind of help work those obliques. You know, a lot of time we want to be like, well, the spine shouldn't bend or whatever, but no, I think the spine should bend, and I think that we have to strengthen the spine in all aspects. And avoiding doing stuff just of fear of getting injured will get us injured. If you say, I'm not gonna do squats or deadlifts because then I'll get injured, you're just getting weaker and weaker, and up until you'll need to pick up something from the floor, you'll just get injured and mess up your lower back. So guys, don't fear exercises, but get strong at them. Start slowly. Start training your abs. I would recommend starting with, let's say, circuit style. Let's say crunch, leg raise, heel taps, and a plank. So those 4 exercises, 3-4 sets of 15 reps each. The plank, you can hold it for 30 seconds. And do that for 2-3 times a week to start. And then gradually 4 times, 5 times. Do it after each workout. There's no reason to skip your abs, guys. It's the center of your body. And it's the center of your body for a reason. So neglecting it, you really are missing out on not only gains but also benefits from everything else you're doing. If you want your overhead press to get better, train your core. Stronger core, stronger overhead press. Stronger core, stronger squat. Stronger core, stronger deadlift. And then everything else will follow. You want bigger biceps? Well, once you train your core and you strengthen it, it's the good effect, the good cycle where everything gets stronger. So that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you don't make the same mistake as I did. I'll see you soon. Ciao.